of Yamaha's best-selling motorcycles has received updates, but is it worth it? I'm Amanda Pagliari. This is the most charming motorcycle channel in Brazil. And in this video, I'll show you everything that's changed in the new MT-03 Connected. Technical features, city and road performance, fuel use, insurance, and maintenance costs. And of course, my honest opinion with the pros and cons so you can make the best purchase decision. The MT-03 is the entry point to the Master of Torque family that we currently have in Brazil. The MT-07, the MT-09 is currently discontinued, but it might come back. Abroad, we have a complete family of this MT line. It shares its space with its sporty sister, the R3. So, engine, chassis, dashboard, and other technologies? The MT-03 has been changing over the years, becoming different. We had the controversial change in the headlight assembly, right, which got a big light projector, and now it has more technology. It's connected. But, well, let's talk about the changes here. For this new generation of the MT-03, we had an update in the design. First here, right, in this part of the tank, without straying too much from what was already the design proposal of the MT-03. But here we have an update, a modernization that also manages to cool better. The air comes in here. We also had an update in the tail section. Yamaha's idea is for the airflow to be more dynamic. It comes in here through the front and can pass to the back better, even bringing more aerodynamics. Overall, we still have the MT identity. But I thought the tank here looks much bulkier, and in this color, kind of a matte black, it looks really beautiful. Hold on, I'll tell you all the available colors in just a moment. The MT-03 is a compact naked bike, and for this version, it lost 1 kilo, now totaling 168 kilos. The cool thing is, the fuel tank remains unchanged, still holding 14.2 liters of gasoline. It's not flex fuel. All the lights on the MT-03 are LED. It already had this optical set from a previous update, which was controversial, but people have gotten used to it since it's a popular bike. Here are the LED turn signals, which are cool, but the main new feature is right here on the taillight, which has been updated. It's more beautiful and sophisticated with a shorter rear end and new LED turn signals. The seat is a split type, so we have here the rider's seat and also the passengers with this big backrest here for the rider's lower back. The height hasn't changed. It remains 78 centimeters here from the seat to the ground. However, it's easier now for shorter men and women. Why is that? Because Yamaha reduced it by 6 millimeters here on the sides, both on the left and right. With that, the seat became slimmer and you don't have to spread your legs as much, allowing you to put your feet on the ground more easily. The passenger seat changed too. I think that was the main difference. It gained about 20 millimeters in width, right? In general, it also got more foam, all of this to bring more comfort here for the passenger. And I'll get on so you can see. Look, I'm 1.77 meters tall. For me, height is not a problem here on the bike, okay? I can put both feet on the ground without any difficulty. In fact, I think height has never been a problem here. For the MT-03, however, now it's much easier, right? Since this part here is really narrow, you don't have to spread your legs. So, those with shorter legs can ride the MT-03 even more easily, especially if you're a beginner and don't have much experience on two wheels, okay? Riding position, let's go. It hasn't changed, so here we have a bike with a sporty proposal. So what do you get? The foot peg here is set back at an angle of 45 to 25 degrees. It's really set back here. Your legs stay at this angle, and over the long term, if you're riding for many kilometers or many hours, it ends up getting a bit tiring. My legs grip the tank well here, which I like since I have long legs. When the bike fits well here, I'm not pushed so far forward and I can ride here easily. Overall, it's a bike with a sporty feel, but you don't have to lean forward as much as, for example, the R3, okay? Even though the R3 has an urban sport bike concept, here, I think you have a much more comfortable riding position, in my opinion, than on the R3. All right? Let me see if I sit here as the passenger. Passenger, both rider and passenger foot pegs are retractable, made of aluminum and lacquer rubber finish. I'm gonna get on the passenger seat so you can see. Look, yeah, that's it. Leave it there, man. Wow, there's no kickstand. Oh my God, I almost died. The passenger seat is right here. I really don't think it worked a miracle. Is that still a downside? Hold on, at the end I'll tell you the pros and cons. But anyway, guys, the MT-03 in terms of riding position hasn't changed. Even though there have been updates, the essence remains the same. The dashboard that comes with the MT-03 is new and now it has connectivity. But first I'll show you the features here. It's in liquid crystal display screen. It's not colored, okay? Here we have the gear indicator, tachometer on this line. Up here we have the clock, speedometer in the center, and over here in the right corner. We have the engine temperature fuel gauge. And at the bottom you have the onboard computer information, okay? To update dashboard info, make changes on the panel, not the handlebar. Click the small left button to see the total odometer. Then you have a partial trip, right? Trip 1, trip 2, you can reset them. And here you have the instant fuel consumption. As you drive, it will show up, okay? Here is the average consumption in liters per 100 kilometers. And you also have service information, okay? It's showing the oil here and everything else, and then just these pieces of information. And of course, it also has connectivity through the Y Connected app, which displays your phone's battery status indicator on the dashboard. And it also shows you received and missed messages. On the outside, we have several lights, indicators. So, information about the ABS indicator. When you turn on the right or left signal, it also shows you the neutral indicator. And the cool thing is it comes with a USB port. On the right side controls, we have the button here to cut off the engine power and also the ignition. Here we have the hazard lights. The right lever doesn't have adjustment, and here on the left side we have the turn signals for left and right. Horn, headlight, high beam, and the flasher at the back. The clutch lever doesn't have adjustment, but it has been improved. The shape is optimized and now it's 5 millimeters closer to the handlebar, making it easier and more comfortable to operate. The front suspension features an inverted telescopic fork with a black cover that matches the motorcycle. It looks great and has 130 millimeters of travel. And at the rear we have a monoshock with spring preload adjustment and a travel of 125 millimeters. For the brakes, at the front we have a single disc with a diameter of 298 millimeters, and at the rear, a disc of 220 millimeters. Remembering that it has an anti-lock braking system, ABS, on both wheels. And speaking of wheels, they are 17-inch rims and use tubeless tires. And the engine that equips the MT-03 is the same one used in the R3. It's the twin-cylinder engine we're already familiar with 320 cubic centimeters featuring a seal-quay technology. According to Yamaha, it has a technology that contributes to less vibration, better heat dissipation, and also improved performance. Unfortunately, due to Promote 5, this engine here lost some horsepower, actually, a little less than 1 horsepower. But unfortunately, Yamaha had to adapt to the new emissions law, also noise regulations. And then it ended up losing almost 1 horsepower. Now it has 41.3 horsepower at 10,750 revolutions per minute. And the torque is still 3 kilogram force meters at 9,000 revolutions per minute, right? It's an engine with final chain drive and 6 gears, okay? And another new feature we have here for this version is that finally the MT-03 got the slipper and assist clutch technology, which this direct competitor, right, the Z400, has had for a long time. What is this technology? The assist technology brings more smoothness when you squeeze the lever, including with this new repositioning, right? This new repositioning of the lever helps prevent fatigue, especially if you use it for a long time, okay? Especially in the city. So we have assisted smoothness technology in the lever. The sliding technology, on the other hand, prevents the rear wheel from locking up when you make a sudden downshift. Picture approaching a turn, shift from 4th to 3rd gear. Still, Your rear wheel won't slip, at least in theory, and that gives you more safety. And now that I've already shown you everything about the new MT-03, it's time to ride it through the streets of São Paulo and also on the highway to show you its performance. If you're enjoying the video and finding it super complete and dynamic to watch, how about leaving a like, huh? You motivate me to make more videos like this. To stay updated on two-wheel news, subscribe to the Motoplay channel so you don't miss any videos. Now hop on my back seat. To ride here in the lane, it does well. The only problem with the MT-03 here is the width of the mirror. Wow, that's what kills it. If the mirror were just a little bit more inward, it would definitely be even more agile. Because this bike, it has just the right amount of torque. You accelerate and it goes, the brakes just a touch, and it stops the bike completely. So I have a lot of engine performance, a lot of power, but I also have a lot of control, a lot of safety here with the brakes and cycling agility. This bike is powerful, light, agile, and wonderful to ride in the city. Honestly, it's a bike that you can ride on track days, you can ride on the highway, have fun, and ride around the city. The only thing to note here is the mirror, which is quite wide. They didn't make this bike to ride between lanes, right? Because for lane splitting, there's the factory, the phaser, but it could, right? Well, in the city, the bike is very agile. It has more than enough engine for you to overtake, to accelerate again. And the engine at low speeds is progressive, so it doesn't surprise you. But still, it's not a bike I recommend for beginners, even though it's a 320 actually, in terms of engine displacement. Wow, it's a bike with over 40 horsepower, so it's not a bike I recommend for beginners. This sport engine here responds very quickly, although it has very good brakes, so it has control. Wow, if you accelerate wrong here, you could really get yourself in trouble. So, my advice is that beginners who don't yet have the maturity or experience with the throttle, with traffic, or with the motorcycle, I recommend that the person start with an FZ25, for example. If the person has experience, then yes, they can, but only after they've gained experience. They can go for an MT-03 or an R3, and then later on move up to an MT-07 and keep increasing the engine size, because the MT-03 will be that motorcycle school that starts delivering more power, more strength, more agility, and more sportiness. The motorcycle that excites you ends up being a gateway to more powerful bikes. It's a good learning experience. So in traffic, everyone, that's it. You have to ride carefully. The bike responds very quickly. Suspension, everyone. That's what suspension is. It's not designed for you to ride in comfort, but rather for sportiness. So the position is already all bent here. I'm bent. My legs, they're really bent. It's getting a bit tiring. But that's just the characteristic of the bike. There's no way around it. Yeah, the seat is a little bit hard, but I'll talk about it on the road, how it performs for trips. A little longer. But the suspension avoids potholes, It avoids potholes. Look, for example, here it gives a few bumps, a bit stiff, right? Even though it has adjustments, it's not a miracle, okay? It's a motorcycle that's designed to be sporty, to give you stability in the curves. When you're at high speed, it's a motorcycle that gives you stability when you accelerate. So it's not going to have the most comfortable, the softest suspension. Let's put it that way, right? Avoid potholes. If you live where there are many potholes or dirt roads, this motorcycle isn't recommended. I know the obvious needs to be said, okay? So that's it. I think the worst thing here in the city is the rear view mirror, but you can change that. Yeah, other than that, the bike is perfect for riding in the city. And what about the fuel consumption? Hold on, I'll tell you about that in the pros and cons. But first, let's ride on the highway. Enough of the city. Here on the highway, 140 is smooth, actually 140, 150 without much effort. Of course, the more you speed up, the more you'll feel the engine straining, right? And also the vibration from the engine here, right? In these hands, even in sixth gear, oh, I'm not gonna go top speed on the MT-03, right? Because you see, you'll find a lot of videos on the internet of people riding around. And here on the road, it's a little bit dangerous. We have to follow what's politically correct, so I'm not going to do that for you, okay? Understand me, but it runs well, okay? It reaches 500, and many times people say it reaches 600 too, depending on the 600, right? So it's a bike that runs well when you push it to the limit, but it runs, right? If the person is skinny, they still like to speed up. Go ahead, ride like there's no tomorrow, but it's gonna drink a lot too. Calm down. I'll explain its controversial fuel consumption soon. But like this, on the road, it's a fast bike. So it's a bike for running around. So for example, someone who works in one city and goes to another, if you want to ride fast on the highway, enjoy the highway at a good speed. And in the city you want agility, this is the bike that fits. Regarding luggage, right? For traveling, it's not a bike where you can carry luggage, so it's not really meant for hitting the road. However, it's more than that. More than a sport bike, right? More than the company. Here you can even add a trunk if you want, right? Side bags too. On a sport bike, it's a little harder. If you stay for long hours, yes, your butt will hurt because the seat is hard. The riding position is sporty, so it will tire you out. There's no way around it. But its purpose is to give you a naked bike with a lot of sportiness, lightness, and agility. And the MT-03 delivers on their promise. It's definitely a really enjoyable, fun bike to ride. It's light, and its ability to take corners is impressive. It's a model that's been around for years, and it really pleases the owners, right? What else can I say? It's a stable motorcycle on the road, so that's a good thing, even though it doesn't come with a damping shock absorber. I think the A3 is stable when stopped. In general, that's it. For the speed I go, it doesn't go 299 either, but for the speed, the way I ride it, it's stable in my opinion, but of course, if it came with a steering damper, it would definitely be better. But that's it. On the road, it's a lot more fun than in the city, for obvious reasons, right? You can speed up more, and you know, the more you speed up, the more you'll spend, right? So let's wrap up the video now with the fuel consumption and the pros and cons. And who is the MT-03 for? First of all, for those looking for a bike with a sporty profile, an exciting engine, and enough power to ride. Of course, also in the city, but with more focus on the highway and track. Why not? A bike that you can ride both on the racetrack and on the go-kart track. It will give you a lot of excitement and help you improve your riding skills. And no, I don't recommend it for beginners. If you just got your driver's license, I don't recommend it. If you start with the MT-03 and if you think the MT-03 is for you, how about buying it? This bike is known for being a gas guzzler, and yes, it is. Unfortunately, that's one of its flaws. Some negative points, just letting you know in advance, accelerating everything. It averaged about 13 to 14 kilometers per liter. If you drive calmly, you can get about 23 or 24 kilometers per liter. In this test, the average combined city and highway fuel consumption was 18 kilometers per liter. And you? Do you have an MT-03 or an R3? Write down here in the comments what kind of fuel consumption you get with yours. Now I'll discuss the pros and cons of the MT-03. Amandina, you don't have the truth, just be yourself. You have every right to agree, disagree, or even add to it, as long as you use the comments respectfully. But first things first, you need to be subscribed to this channel. Haven't subscribed yet? It's free, your finger won't fall off. Click the subscribe button below. Loyal subscribers, make sure YouTube hasn't unsubscribed you. Subscribed, comment all you want. Starting with the positive points, my opinion about the design, I think the design of the MT-03 is very beautiful. It's a functional design. You fit right into it, very beautiful. It looks like a motorcycle with a bigger engine. Even when you see the empties from the side, you can't tell if it's the 7 or the 3. This large tank makes the bike look bigger, almost like a 600. Depending on where you look, you might even wonder if it's an MT-03. But anyway, I like the MT-03's design, including this headlight set, which was controversial in the past. I think that's already behind us in my opinion. And in this color here, total black, it's really beautiful. Hold on, I'll talk about the available colors in a moment. But the design is a positive point. The headlight set is another positive point because it's beautiful and also lights up well. The brakes didn't disappoint me. Even with just one front disc under 300 millimeters, I found it interesting. I liked the front brakes. They never felt unsafe. It brakes well, which is a plus. The dashboard with connectivity is a positive point. I even wondered if I should consider the dashboard a positive point because it doesn't provide a lot of information. But you don't have a range indicator here, for example. But, okay, it has connectivity. It evolved MT-03 connected, so that's a positive point here for the dashboard. Another good thing is the handling. This bike is very easy to control. Great for riding in the city. Okay, it has a handlebar, right? I'm going to talk about the negative points in a moment, as you saw when riding in the city, but its handling is really good for taking turns, so that's a positive point. Another good thing, finally, is that it comes with a slipper and assisted clutch. So that's a positive point. Another good thing is the fixed price maintenance that Yamaha lists on their website. Even before you buy it, you already know how much you're going to spend, as you can see on the screen, so that's a good thing. Another interesting thing is the engine, this exciting engine, explosive engine, high-revving engine. A lot of people like it. It lacks the initial torque of the MT-07, for example, but it's a bike with a sporty feel, a 300 engine that can easily beat a lot of 500 or 600 bikes out there. So definitely that's a positive point. And now I'm going to talk about the negative points, in my opinion. The first one is the hard seat. Okay, I know that's not its purpose. It's not like a lander, for example, but the obvious needs to be said. So, on long trips, you're going to get a little tired. Another downside is that it's not comfortable for a passenger, so whoever sits back here is going to suffer a little. Even though Yamaha put better foam in the seat and made it bigger, whoever sits back here is still going to suffer a lot. So that's why it's a downside if you want to carry a passenger. Another bad thing is the fuel consumption. Unfortunately, it uses even more than the MT-07, right? People always joke about this. How does a 300cc bike consume more than a 600cc one, right? So what happens, guys? This engine, it's high revving. It's a twin cylinder, but it's 320cc. So what happens? It needs to rev a lot, work hard to give you all that power. So there's no other way. This engine here is going to consume a lot of fuel, unfortunately. Another downside is the engine. But what do you mean, Amanda? Didn't you say the engine was a positive point? Hold on. Actually, unfortunately, the engine lost horsepower. We always like more horsepower, don't we? They could have kept it, but that wasn't the case. It decreased. In practice, you don't feel that much of a difference. But I have to point out that it was a downgrade, right? So, is that a negative point? This negative point might be more relevant for those who will be walking down the big corridor, right? The rearview mirror sticks out past the handlebars and gets in your way a little if you're riding in heavy traffic. Still on the handlebars, see, it barely turns. So when you try to maneuver, you're going to struggle a little, unfortunately. And it's available in 3 colors with a suggested retail price starting at 34,090 Rs. And do you have more positive or negative points about the MT-03? Write them down below. Leave a like on the video if you thought it was super complete, if it helped you in any way to make the best purchase decision. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, okay? And become a member if you want to have exclusive benefits like monthly giveaways and content that only members have access to, Amandina's calendar and much more. Up here, I left a very interesting video for you, and below I left another one that I'm sure you'll like. See you next time, Moto Kiss.